Hi children, welcome to grade 5 English, and today we are going to revise what we have learned in our previous session. Yes, we are going to see the My Shadow poem. And here in the first stanza, the poet is saying, I have a very little shadow and it goes in and out with me. And more than I can see, there are so many uses of this shadow. And he looks exactly like me, and he is very like me from heels up to the head. And I can see him do so many things before I do. And this is what the poet says in the first stanza. And in the second stanza, he tells about the funniest thing about the shadow. The funniest thing about shadow is the way the shadow likes to grow. And not like other proper normal children, they used to grow very slowly year by year and month by month, right? But here, shadow, how it grows. It sometimes shoots up taller and bigger like an India rubber ball, and sometimes it gets very little that there is none of him at all. We can't able to see anything about that shadow. And this is what they have said in the second stanza. And in the third stanza, the shadow doesn't have any thinking about how the children likes to play. And the shadow always make fool of the poet in every other way. And the shadow stays very close to the poet always. So the poet is saying, he stays always very close to me and beside me. So he is a coward, you can see. He is telling the shadow as coward. And if I do the same with the person who took care of me, how I will feel? I will feel very shameful. If I always stick to someone, what others will think of me? Others will think of me as a coward, right? So that I will feel very shameful. This is what he said in the third stanza. And finally, in the fourth stanza, what he said, one morning he rose up and went out very early before the sun was up. And during that time, he found the shining dews on the every buttercup flowers. But who didn't follow the poet that day? He can't find the shadow. So he is saying, but my lazy little shadow didn't come with me, and like an errant sleepy head had stayed at home behind me and was fast asleep in bed. The poet says here that the shadow doesn't follow him because it stayed at home behind him and was fast asleep in bed because he looks very lazy and like an errant sleepy head. Yes. And but why there is no shadow at that time? During the very early morning before the sun was up, during that time we can't able to find the shadow, right? So that the poet is saying it in this way. Clear about the fourth stanza, children? Yes, this poem is written by Robert Louis Stevenson. And children, in practice zone 1, we can complete question number 2. That is in page number 51. We are going to discuss the first two questions, that is A and B in today's class, right? And A question, what goes in and out with the poet? Yes, we already know, right? What goes in and out with the poet? The shadow goes in and out with the poet. And the shadow doesn't leave the poet's side not even for a single second. That is what you have to write in the A question. And B question, what does the poet find funny about the shadow? The poet find funny about the shadow. That is the way the shadow grows. The way the shadow likes to grow. Sometimes it grow bigger and taller like India rubber ball, and sometimes we can't able to find the shadow. Yes, and this is what we have to write in the B question. Clear, children? Yeah. And now let me tell you the homework for today's session. You have to complete question number 4. How does the shadow fool the poet? How does the shadow fool the poet? And fifth question. What does the poet mean when he says that sometimes his shadow is very tall and sometimes there is none at all? And from these lines, what the poet mean? Why he is saying sometimes shadow is very tall and sometimes it is very small? And sixth question. Read the lines from the poem and answer the following questions. This we can do it in our class. So you can move on to the seventh one. This is your homework. Read the poem again and answer the following questions. Read the poem thoroughly and answer these questions. Yes, who is a constant companion of the poet in the poem? And B1. Does the poet find the shadow useful? Do you agree with him or not? Write with proper reasons. And C question. Describe how children's growth is talked about in the poem. And you have to complete question number 4, question number 5 in page number 31. And you have to complete question number 7. In that 7th question, you are having A, B, C and D. This you should complete in page number 32 and 33. And I hope you are clear with today's session and what we have learned. Yes. And thank you so much, children. Drink more water, eat healthy food, reduce your screen time and take care all of you. Bye.